and welcome to Dating the Enemy, the program where we find out what both sides really think in the battle of the sexes. Tonight we're going to be looking at mixed-race relationships. Now, did you know that 40% of black men currently are living with or are married to white women, and 20% of black women are living with white men? Well, tonight on Dating the Enemy, we want to go behind the statistics and find out what it's really like to be in a mixed-race relationship, especially in a so-called liberal society. I want to speak to you, Robert, because you've got quite definite ideas on the issue that we're talking about. Would you say you're for or against mixed relationships?
I don't agree with them at all, because I think miscegenation is wrong.
Can you explain to me what that word means? Because I don't know.
The interbreeding of Negroes and white people.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Because at the end of the day, the product of that, the child, is nothing. It's too white to be black, and it's too black to be white.
What difference does that make?
Well, I can just give you an example. I was going to the cinema the other day, and there was this white girl with 5 half-castes. Now, if that situation continues, we're going to have a coffee-coloured nation.
Why would that be so terrible?
Well, I believe England wouldn't. May I finish? You
carry on. Just carry on, Robert, and then we'll come to you. Don't worry.
Thousands of my countrymen died for freedom of speech, which has been denied us since you lot came here.
I must say that I don't want to pursue that point because I can't see the relevancy of it. But would you call yourself a fascist?
Well, you can call me what you want. I mean, every time any politician or anyone mentions race and detracts from the fashionable line, they're screamed at racist, fascist, you name it. You know, you've heard my opinion, make up your mind.
But do you think it comes from a supremacy? Do you think that is it anything to do with the fact that sort of you think that whites are a superior race?
Well, I think we're different, and if you might say we're more civilized. Where does the civilization aspect come from? Well, I mean, when you look at what happened back in Victorian days when we went out to Africa, the people there were amongst the most primitive in the world. And yet you look what we did for them. The hospitals we built, the schools.
Okay. That's Robert's idea. There's a lady over here who is dying to say her bit. What would... Your turn to speak, madam.
No, I'm just saying he's chatting rubbish.
He's talking rubbish. Look what his race done for whom? Where's the basis?
You're more polite, and you're the one who put on through slavery.
But what we're actually talking about. I understand your anger, and I can understand exactly why you find what he said. But we're talking about mixed race relationships. He's saying that he doesn't agree with mixed race relationships because
so if he doesn't agree with one, never enter one.
Exactly.
End of story.
Exactly. We should
don't make it
stay separate. You have your culture. I have mine. I don't think that is what I said. We shouldn't interbreed.
This is your
opinion. How would you want your opinion to be?
Exactly.
Can I just ask you so where do you believe that your opinion should go? I mean, do you think your opinion should stay within the 4 walls? You are entitled to speak your opinion, but do you think your policies should be sort of like, I mean, it'd be a little bit putting the clock back, wouldn't it, if we sort of try to sort of keep all the races and presumably religions and creeds and we're not just talking about black and white here, that's just too simplistic, isn't it?
I mean, what is wrong with separation? I mean, wherever you put black and white people together, there are problems.
I think one of the things when you discuss, I think ignorance brings out a lot of problems. And the thing is, when you're talking about sort of black, white, and you go back in time, what I find with the British, they tend to have selective memories and so on. Now, I speak as the father of a 5-year-old girl. Now, when my daughter's growing up, my daughter's got the best of both worlds. She's got her English side. Of course, nobody's going to say she's blonde, blue-eyed, English or whatever. But at the end of the day, I'm Jamaican. I've got Jamaican and British passport. She's English. She can go to Jamaica when she wants. she can stay in Britain and learn everything. It's nothing. We have too much of a selective memory. And when you have people like this, you're entitled to your opinion. Great. But then you can go to a camp, any camp, let's say, and see 5 white kids going around. They're all living on Social Security. Never mind 5 mixed race kids or whatever. But, you can't say that's too much of a generalization, which I think we've got over a long time ago.
I've got a question for him, right? What about all these, people, right? They go on holiday. What do? They sit on the beach, right, and get a suntan. One thing, I'll paint you a different colour. What's the difference?
It doesn't make you into a Negro, does it?
Yeah, what? Like to say something?
Yeah, I think he's out of hand. I think to say that is really stupid. He's got to realise we're moving on there. And what he's got to think about is there's a black and white, but we've got to mix, and that's it. Whether he likes it or not, it's going to happen. It's always going to happen, mate. Whatever you say, no matter what, it's going to happen.
What did you just say then?
I've asked this gentleman here if he's a joke or if he's serious. Simply because the fact of the matter is you don't know your roots. You don't even know if you've got black blood in you. You wouldn't know. You have no idea.
You're trying to say something.
Can I just say to you,
Hang on, this lady wants to say something.
not all white people and not all English people think like that. And people that speak like that make me ashamed to say I'm white and English.
You're potentially making people feel very sort of almost embarrassed to be white when they hear you saying things like that. Why?
That's their problem. I mean, as this chap here said, I'm entitled to my opinion. I don't see why they should feel embarrassed. They should feel proud of what we did.
It's not what we did so much, isn't it? Let's have a look.
This lady here has brought an African into the country. She said about the loss of culture that we're undergoing. So why, if you love the African culture so much,
we're not losing culture, we're gaining culture.
Yeah, we're gaining culture.
We need culture in this country. I mean, so what? We all made the same stuff, haven't we?
I mean, we've been here. We've been here. I think if this young man looks into history, the cultures have always been mixed in since time. You look from Queen Victoria's court right down to Daniel and young lady going off and getting married. So that's not to be selective, but look at the facts. And at the end of the day, it's something that's going to be inevitable. And when we face the facts, it can only make Britain a richer country for the diverse cultures that are here, rather than a separatist country.
Yeah, and I've got one for you. This could be a bit more interesting. You say for British, right? Okay, British is supposed to be all the best, right? We all like mud huts and stuff till the Romans came along and taught us how to do all the irrigation, all the plumbing and everything else.
You've been watching Life of Brian, haven't you? But what do you think of that? I mean, out of curiosity, I mean, this idea comes from an old sketch, but I think it's an old Al Garnett sketch actually. But would you accept blood if you needed a blood donation from a black person?
Well, I can't say I wouldn't know, would I?
But if you did know, would you? Well, because it's the whole idea of it being a...
You don't know what you might catch, with AIDS and all this, sort of
Okay, let's have a... I know, Donna, you're wanting to say something before we go to the break. Well, we're getting very heated here, actually. You may have to shout a bit.
I was just going to say that I'm amazed that he has the nerve to say things like, after what we did for them. What did you do for us, apart from enslave us and steal our natural resources? I have forgiven your people for that, but don't push your luck.
Wait a minute, what? Yeah.
One thing, when you remember all these things about slavery and so on, the one thing that has kept the black race, which hasn't been mentioned from slavery right through to the civil rights movement, right through even post-riots and so on, one thing we've come out with is dignity. And regardless of how anyone tries to stereotype or spin it down, the one thing we've always carried through is dignity. And he doesn't see that. And it's a shame. What have they done for us? We've done a lot to this country. We've contributed until we've been blue in the face. We're so mainstream, it's unreal.
That's what we're saying. Blacks are just as prejudiced as white people. I mean, I'm no more a racist than Diana, but when she went in and said to the hospital staff how terrible it was having all these blonde-haired, blue-eyed people in the hospital, I'm no more a racist than her. But at the end of the day, blacks are just as racist as white people.
Let's have a chat. There's a lady over here. There's a lady over here who wants to say something.
I'd like to ask the...
Hang on.
I'd like to ask the racist dinosaur, what is he going to do with all these coffee-coloured people? The genie's out of the bottle and you can't stop it now. It's too late. Should we all be exterminated?
Well, there's nothing one person can do.
But do you want to do something? Do you have the...
Well, I'd like to see it stop, but how can you? We've a democracy, haven't we?
I think one of the frightening things, as Tina said earlier, is that when you have an opinion like that, the frightening thing is the minority, but they're so educated in a sense that they start poisoning the minds of other people, and it has a snowball effect. Racism is bad, whether it's a Diane Abbott or whether, and even the Diane Abbott comments were misconstrued because it's always nice to not Diane Abbott. But, it's bad one way or the other, and we shouldn't be tolerating that.
I thought that was a racist comment.
Okay, anybody else got any other opinion? Okay, let's have Donnie would like to say a word.
I just want to ask him a question. The white dinosaur, as he's now. Everyone's calling him that.
You've got a label, whether you like it or not.
I mean, I definitely believe in your right to say and feel what you say and feel. If you don't want to have anything to do with black people, that is your business. But what I want to ask you is how you can continue to hold certain beliefs in the face of evidence to the contrary. Like today you said, you made a snide remark about Rwanda as proof of the chaotic nature of black people. And this gentleman here said, what about Belfast? And I say, what about Bosnia? So there we proved to you that that particular belief isn't logical. Are you going to change it?
No, why should I? Because history proves me right in Africa. Whenever we've left, there's been chaos. They've had
Let me get the microphone to you.
Africa's the only place that you know black people come from. People of colour come from Africa. Is that all your mind can formulate? When you think of black people, you just think Africa.
Again,
yes.
Again, it's selective memory, and it's quite nice to say, oh, wherever we've been, chaos has reigned. But at the end of the day, again, read your history book. You left a divide and rule pattern where people have not actually been independent, but they've actually inherited your old civil service system, which has led to ruin.
I mean, apartheid in Africa didn't work, did it?
And what does apartheid mean? It just means apartness.
Okay, well, we're coming towards the end of the programme, so anyone's got something desperate to say, now's your moment. Have you been abroad, actually?
Until I was 12 years old, I'd never seen a black person.
Yeah.
And
you've got to speak quick.
I didn't know about being racist. And people like him will make children that don't know about it end up like him. And it's not...
Okay, just very, very quickly, have you been abroad?
A lot, yes. To many countries.
Many countries, right. Very, very quickly.
You know what? I think life's too short to be worrying about the race of the partner that you're going to have. It's pointless worrying about that. And I think as for you, you're going to be the loneliest.
That's where we're going to end the programme. It's a nice thought to go out on. Life is perhaps too short to worry about the issues in some respects that we've been talking about tonight. Take care wherever you are.